Good morning, wherever you are. Good day, good evening. You know how people say that. So this is a response video or a comment video. Not really a response, but a comment video to Grant Cardone, Boyce, Watkins, and Jay Morrison in regards to single-family real estate being a good or a bad investment. Now, Jay Morrison is more positive about single-family real estate being a good investment. He doesn't say that it's always a good investment, but he's more positive about it. Boyce Watkins' answer is more like it depends. And I'm in that camp. I'm in the depends camp. Okay. Grant Cardone, Vlad, they are pretty negative on it. I mean, really, all of these folks are trying to give you a general understanding of their position. And we always have to understand that if it makes money, they are with it. Or at least I would say Grant Cardone is with it. I don't know about Vlad. He may be negative on it all the time. So what I'd like to do is give my opinion on it as a person who is not nearly as educated as Grant Cardone or Boyce Watkins, and certainly not as financially successful as any of those fellas are. The way that I look at it, the way that I explain it to people is like this. When you buy real estate or when you buy cars, you have to buy wholesale. Okay, so we're talking about real estate here. When you buy real estate at retail or close to retail, and then you borrow for a long period of time, what you're going to pay by the time you get to the end of the mortgage term is going to be probably 2.5 times what you borrowed, or somewhere thereabout. So if you buy a home, like for instance, a friend of mine told me that he went to buy his first home in North Carolina back 20 years ago or so, and there was very liberal loans out at that time. That's how he was able to get one, and he was in his early 20s. I think he told me 22 years old or something like that, and the house was about 100 and I can't remember the exact amount, but it was 100, 105, 135, something like that. So he's a truck driver. So he just so happened to be going back through that area, and he said, "Man, this is my old neighborhood." We were talking, over an app, and he said, "This is my old neighborhood. I'm driving through. I bought my first house here, and I eventually lost it. I just wasn't mature enough to, yada, yada, yada." So I asked him, I said, "Hey man," I said, "how much is that house worth now compared to what you spent on the house, or what you borrowed to buy the house?" And he felt like it maybe had increased in value $25,000. Now it had been almost 20 years when we were having that conversation. If you take his note, the value of the property, and and compare the two, you'll see he wasn't making any money with that deal. And what folks will say is, they'll say, "Oh man, why am I trying to make any money with it? Man, this is my house. This is the house where I'm going to live." Or sometimes they use the words dream house. That's very scary when they use those words, the dream house. Because you don't buy anything in a dream. You know, don't buy real estate in a dream. Buy real estate in a very sober state of realism. You know, so he came out. He would have come out bad on that deal, but he ended up losing the house and whatnot. So he came out bad, period. But he still would have come out bad had he paid the whole thing off. So, what is wholesale on real estate? To me, 65% or lower, all in. So that's the purchase, that's the repair, that's the renovation. 65% all in. Oh, if you have, we're gonna use $100,000 as you know, because it makes the math easy. So we'll use that as an example. So let's say the value of the house is $100,000 in the retail market. You pick it up for 50. You have to put 15 in it to bring it up to that value. So you got 65 in it. Now you took a 30-year mortgage, and my mortgage conversation is a whole nother conversation. So I'm not even gonna get into the mortgage and the interest and stuff like that in this conversation. But the mortgage, you took a 30-year mortgage, but your intent is to pay it off in 5 years. So, and you can do that. I mean, you know, that really wouldn't be that hard. If you were paying rent in an apartment, you probably would be paying more rent than that in 5 years. More than $65,000. If you had a place that was, you know, was nice. Let's just use that word, nice. So your intention is to pay it off in 5 years, but if you get in a bind and you can't, well, you still have the 30. Let's say you successfully pay the house off in that amount of time. Now you have a house that's worth $100,000 that maybe you spent $75,000 on. Okay, we ain't talking about maintenance and repairs and whatnot, because bottom line is you got to live somewhere, man. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a perfect situation, but is it a good situation? You know? So you got 75 in it. Now, let's say you're still there, or you still own it. Maybe not there anymore, but you still own it 20 years later, or 30 years later, when the loan would have reached its maturity. You would have paid it off. And at that point, the place is worth $250,000. Now, had you bought that house for $100,000 and you paid $235,000 or $250,000 over 30 years, all you did was store your money. You didn't make any money. But the person who bought the house for $65,000, you know, bought and remodeled whatever, $65,000 all in, paid $75,000 for it, and now for the next 25 years, they are able to do something else with that money. They are able to, what they would have spent on that note, they could invest it. So you can go, for instance, you can go to Dave Ramsey and you can look up investment calculator. Dave Ramsey's calculator is pretty easy to use, you know. So put that mortgage amount in. I wish I would have prepared that for you, but I didn't. Put that mortgage amount in and see what it is after 25 years. See what it becomes after 25 years at 6%, 6.5%, 10%. Try the different things, because it depends on what you invest the money in. You know, the stock market has been 10, 12%. There are some safe or safer investments that have been, pretty consistent at 6%. All right. So you can look and see what that becomes. Now that person made a whole bunch of money off that good decision to purchase that home, because they have the insulating value of the purchase. And when I purchased my place, and my place is not a single family situation, I use the method of owner finance, of finding a motivated seller, and striking up a deal with them owner finance, and I paid for my place in 5 years. And it's been an excellent deal for me, because that was about 12 years. So I've had 12 years of being insulated protected from a note, a mortgage or rent, whatever. I've had 12 years of that. I have other expenses. You have to keep up the place, and et cetera, et cetera. You got to pay insurance and taxes, and that's also another conversation. We need to have a tax conversation, because just starting out, man, you go in some places, you're going to spend $5,000, $6,000 a year on $100,000, and that's like a whole nother note, But we'll do that, maybe hopefully some other time. God give us life. So, what about the guy or the person, the lady, whatever, that is also able to write off that purchase? They have structured it in such a way within their business to where that single family home purchase, they can write it off, and they can write off all expenses that come from it. Well, now they made even more money. So just to say that that a single family home purchase is a bad deal is not true. But what is true is that it's your responsibility to buy wisely and to understand the playing field, or what I like to call the battlegrounds, because I don't like the whole thing, well, put me up on game, or it's a game, or it's not a game at all, man. It's life or death out here. And the decisions that you make, wise decisions that you make, pay you dividends, and poor decisions that you make do the opposite. They cut you for a long time. And I've made my share of them. Lord knows I've made my share of them. So I just wanted to share that. I feel like, just to sum it up, I feel like I needed to do this because I watched Boyce's video, and I didn't think he really gave a juxtaposed example that would illustrate where a single family home is really could be a good business deal. And there's many other examples that I could give, but I try not to go long on my videos. I know, and I'm actually a lot longer than I like to be. I like to be around 10 minutes. So I'm gonna end it there. But I think what Jay is doing is correct. What he's saying is correct, what I've heard him say. And what these other fellas are saying is a little bit too absolute, And the other thing is, real quick, I'm going to probably be 16 or 17 minutes on this. As a person of color, a person from one of the minority groups, and the two specific ones that I'm talking about are indigenous to the Western Hemisphere and African, right? And I'm both. Owning land and owning real estate in general and passing that on in a wise way is a very important part of our overall real estate portfolio and strength. Okay, when you don't own anything and you own it but you pass it on poorly, so you're not making anything. A rich man told me one time, and it took me years to really understand this. He said you should try to make 25 cents a square foot on any piece of land that you own per year. So on an acre, that's 14,000 and something. Let's just round it up, 15 grand. Most of us, no matter what the race, have land in our family that we don't make any money on. Because the way the agricultural system is set up, it is stacked against the people at the lowest end. They try to make the farmers, all farmers, landowners, and not sharecroppers. So you can grow 1,000 acres of corn, and you might make $150 an acre. And somebody else, like Curtis Stone, can do $100,000, $150,000. Instead of having to do it on 1,000 acres, they're doing it on less than an acre, growing specific market vegetables and whatnot, and marketing that to the right people. So it's hard for. It's harder, not hard. I don't say it's hard like it's impossible. It's not impossible, but we have to do our research, gain our knowledge, and then pick a course of action to be able to make money from the property that we have, and then turn that money into more money. What you're storing, when you're storing money, what you're storing is energy. You know what I mean? So how do we make money off the property? How do we get that 25 cents per square foot? And I feel like most people are guilty of that. But black people and the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere are very, very negligent or behind in this particular matter. And it's because we have put value where white people have put value. So we chase what they find value in. We move from our neighborhoods into their neighborhoods, and we say it's because it's better schools, or it's safer neighborhoods, or whatever. And then we complain about gentrification. You don't see the value where you are, somebody else sees it, and as soon as they see the value, Harlem, Oakland, South Central, as soon as they see the value, now you feel duped. You have your opportunity to buy those single family homes in a way that you could make money, could be profitable. But you're chasing somebody else's opinion of success or value instead of investing in your place, instead of getting rid of the illegal elements and things like that, or improving the schools, etc., etc. And this will never work. As long as you're chasing somebody else's thing, forget about it. You may achieve individual wealth, but the wealth of the community that you are a part of, that won't happen. And that's necessary in order for you to be respected. So anyway, I'm 10 minutes past where I need to be. I hope that my uneducated poor man's opinion was of some value. Love you for free, and holler at you later.